That was quick.
I wish we would have found ourselves.
Yeah, it would have been nice. It would have been nice to have found ourselves today. We got started a little late, but you know, we got some things to discuss, some things to talk about. We are now live over on YouTube with the fifth quarter. It's the homie King Orleans, joined by the lovely Miss Sneak, aka Gifted. Say what's up to the folks over on YouTube.
What up, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Sneak. Welcome to the fifth quarter. We are here after the Saints Philadelphia game, the upset, the shocker, the heart wrencher, the gut punch of the season for us. So we're gonna line some things up for y'all today.
Yeah, it's a bad feeling right now. Saints fall 24-21 against one of the worst teams in the league today, and it just wasn't pretty at all. I'm pretty sure me and Ms. Nick, we've not discussed it. We ain't said nothing to each other in depth. She knows I got a lot to say. Most people who know how I feel about specific players know that I have a lot to say, and we're gonna get into it. But my streak of picking against the Saints and them winning has now come to an end. So at least I get to call it like I want to when we play the Chiefs coming up this week, who wrapped up their division and continue to look like a formidable Super Bowl contender in their win against the Miami Dolphins today. You got to back up, son. We got somebody in the studio with me. I'm a mentor. Y'all know how that go. You got to back all the way up out the camera because you looking like somebody that needs some assistance.
That's not what you're going to do him on no Sunday. You're going to stall him out. We're going to let him live. You know what I'm saying? Let live.
I love him, though. You know I love him. I'm going to
go ahead and get into this because I was watching the game and I've been defending this person. For like 2-3 weeks now. I've been like, yo, stall him out. He gonna be all right. We got it going. He the man. He done showed up enough times. But Lord, it's like he heard me say it and he was like, nah, let me show you. You understand? Will Lutz will get the ball through the uprights, please, Lutz. What is going on? I what was it? 2 missed today? 2, 3? I feel like it might have been 3.
2 misses today.
2 misses today would have won us the game. And all I heard was Jay's voice in my ear. I know it was coming. So this is me being Eminem, aka Rabbit at 8 Mile, and stealing all your thunder right now.
I got some for you. You gonna see.
But overall, we got started really, really slow. The first half was so disappointing. I saw very minimal effort from our offense. You know, we weren't spreading the ball around. We had Taysom looking very, very scared, very timid in the pocket. Our defense was kind of lackluster. We didn't do much on defense today, which was very shocking to me. We let 245 rushing yards today, which is unheard of this season. We just weren't in sync today. We just really weren't, and it didn't look good. It was very scary because this is a 3-8-1 team. They had to tie with another sorry team. They were so sorry. And we got a rookie quarterback coming in, ain't never touched the ball. And he comes in and just completely dominates the first half and then continues to hold his lead throughout the rest of the game. And it was just really disappointing to watch. I was more hopeful to see more from Taysom today, but that's not what I got.
Let me start off with this first before I get going. Because y'all know I'm going to get going today. I'm going to cut up for y'all. But in love, because I love my team. I love my Saints. But I'm going to cut up today. But I'm going to keep it in perspective at the same time. So it's going to be a good balance to give y'all, some hope because we still got 10 of them wins, in our possession. I do need to say this, however. Ms. Nee, I was right about Lutz, right? I got to ask you that. Was I right?
Yeah. That's all you get. I ain't got nothing else to say. But yeah.
Good. I like that. Yours truly, King Orleans, I have been saying for a while. I said, look, Lutz is inconsistent in moments where we need him, need him. I'm from the era of Morton Anderson. You know what I'm saying? We grew up cheering for that guy. And if you're going to be one of the greats and a guy that we can roll out there and rely upon week in and week out to do your job. You need to do your job. This time he didn't slip, which he acted really good, last week when he slipped. You're like, oh my God, I didn't hurt myself. And he lost confidence. This is the issue of confidence and focus. And if you needed proof, if you didn't know before today, now you know. I saw it. I saw it because there were consistent misses for the last few weeks. And I'm like, wait a minute, something ain't right, which he goes through these moments. It's never this bad. This is probably the worst stretch of his professional career, right? But there are times when this guy misses kicks that he just should not miss. And today it cost us. Taysom Hill, very good football player, just not a very good quarterback. I don't care what the stats say, and I'm going to go through that in a moment. It doesn't matter. He continues to be a turnover machine. It's like since week 10, he's fumbled the ball, 8 times? He's lost 4 of them, right? Those are things that you just can't do. Interception today, lost fumbles, just all kind of things, misreads, overthrown passes, the indecision in holding on the ball too long. It's obvious, and this is not an issue where you're looking at a guy and said, okay, he needs more time playing the position. I've seen enough. I'm good. I think the Saints, if Drew Brees is not ready to go next week, I think it would be the smart thing for Sean Payton to do to add Taysom Hill back to the Swiss Army knife role where he can kind of move around and do his thing. And because you're going to need that against the Chiefs, and let the Jameis Winston era kind of get started. And I don't know how long the era will be. It could be one game. But I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I'm good. I'm good. And I have a few friends of mine, who Taysom Hill is undefeated and he won all of these games. And it's stupid and naive to think that he wins it all by himself, nor does he lose it all. But I got a special treat for you. I don't know if you've seen it, Ms. Neat. If you go to our Facebook page right now, our Facebook / Sports Talk NOLA page, I posted a very provocative post. I actually got it from somewhere else. And it's the deciding 4th down play that the Saints needed to convert to have a chance at winning this game. And Michael Thomas is wide open. It's wide open. And Taysom Hill misses him running across the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill takes off. And so and doesn't convert that 4th down, of course. And so I'm done. The defense had a hard day today. I get it. They should have played much better. But I think Taysom Hill and the special team woes, for me, stick out even more than the defensive lack of energy or lack of seeming like wanting to stop any run today at all. So, is it alarming? If you're Super Bowl aspirations, then maybe, yeah. But I'd still rather be the Saints and the Eagles right now.
I mean, that's true. I mean, the Eagles are still in the hunt. And and Jalen Hurts looked really good today. Like, that's one thing that I was very proud of. He's not mine, so I'm not that proud of it. And he was playing my team, so I really am not that proud of it. But it was pretty impressive to watch him to come out and hold the poise that he held today. It seemed like the entire team rallied around him too, because the team played exceptionally well. But it's not looking good. We 10-2 and we come out and get beat by 3-8 in one team. Like it's kind of hard to defend that, and for that to be the game to lose us the number 1 spot will be heartbreaking at the end of all of this, because Aaron Rodgers is on the roll.
Yeah. He's A-Rod is special. I mean, all they do in Green Bay is just find another way to win. We have Chuck. Shout out to Chuck. He usually joins us, and he has a lot to say. He's over chatting right now in our chat box over there on YouTube. Again, if you're listening to us live on any one of our podcast streaming networks, you can have a live look in on the show today. If you join us over on Sports Talk NOLA on YouTube, type it in all one word, the 5th quarter. King Orleans, Miss Neek, we're here. Yeah, we showed up after a loss. We was going to be here. Y'all didn't think we was going to duck it. We're not going to duck it. It doesn't feel good, and you don't want to lose this game. I think next week, if you lose to Kansas City, and I don't know, I don't want to spoil picks. We usually do that towards the end of the show. But if you lose to Kansas City, you can hold your head up. This is an NFC loss against a team that is a bottom-feeding team in the NFC. And it showed some very strong issues with the Saints defensively. And, look, I don't want to overreact at the same time. Were there holes today? Yeah. It's ironic because Jalen Hurts ran a lot of the same stuff that we look at Taysom Hill, and he runs here with the Saints. And it would seem like we would know how to stop that. And for whatever reason, Doug Peterson just seemed to be one step ahead of our defensive coordinator today. Like he really just outcoached the Saints defensively. And those guys made every play that they needed to make to win that game. And I think infusing a young quarterback into that lineup, somebody that has high character, that kid went through a lot of Alabama, transferred to OU, went to the college playoff last year, played against our LSU Tigers, didn't win that game. But, just a kid of high character. Nick Saban, said nothing but great things about this young man. He comes in and he leads his team to a win. And so am I impressed with him? I got to give him his respect for winning the game, for playing better than Taysom Hill on today. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Just like Taysom, when Taysom debuted a few weeks back, now that teams kind of understand what his strengths and weaknesses are. And as I was watching the game, Ms. Neat, I know you may not be as a big of a fan of LSU football as I am, but our former defensive coordinator at LSU is Dave Aranda. He now coaches at Baylor. And he put together a hell of a defensive game plan against Jalen Hurts. He made him look pedestrian as it relates to this kid kind of picking up defenses and knowing what to do with the football. And as I was watching the game, I was like, damn, our defensive coordinator can't figure out a way to stop this kid. Yet Dave Aranda, who's a college coach, head coach now, was able to put together a really strong game plan against the kid, when they faced against LSU. And you saw those same weaknesses. If you look at what they did, they didn't trust him standing in that pocket and making progressions and reads that allowed him to hold on to the ball. What he did well is he extended the plays, moving laterally in the pocket, got rid of the ball when he needed to, didn't take too many chances.
Yeah, I mean, but even though he did get the ball off quicker, he still rushed for 106 yards today. So our defense broke down tremendously today. We had two people to break the century mark today in rushing. And our ground game is usually our best game. So we're already struggling defensively on the ground. In the air, we're definitely having a problem. So, and then the other part of that, on the other side of the ball, defensively, the Eagles took a hit. They lost 3/4 of their damn team. They went down 2 corners, a safety. They lost 2 or 3 linemen. They beat us with their third string. The entire cohesiveness of the team was in question today. I don't know what happened. I don't know if we just completely underestimated the fact that these are professional football players and they was going to come out and try to prove something, but we dropped the ball tremendously. Coaching, we dropped the ball on the offensive side. We dropped the ball in special teams. We just did not perform the way we should have performed today.
We have a few comments in the chat box. I want you to kind of bring in John's comments in a minute. I want to address something that I saw that Chuck, kind of spoke about as it relates to Teddy Bridgewater. I understand what Chuck is saying, and I get it. I'm not really thinking that Teddy is the answer neither long-term for the Saints. He doesn't seem like the answer long-term in Carolina. But I'll tell you this. At the end of the day, you have to find a way to win this game. And I think Sean Payton had to make a decision, an economic decision. And let me kind of give you guys an angle that you may not hear nowhere else. And I'm not saying that Sean Payton isn't going to play the best guy, but if you don't think contracts don't come into play and the history of your team and how you manage those contracts, it's significant. So let me briefly, don't go to sleep on me, guys. I got something really good for you. You're a Saints fan, you're familiar with the situation with Jimmy Graham and how he wanted to be paid as a receiver. The Saints went through some litigation, some form of arbitration, I believe, with the league to kind of figure out what was his dollar amount, just in case they had to franchise tag him. They were successful in making the claim that he was a tight end. All right. Sean Payton testified. That kind of built a rift between Graham and Payton, and Graham and the team, because he felt like, hey, look, I need to get paid my money, do me right. We all know the history of what happened with him. He moved on, et cetera, right? Taysom Hill comes along, and he's a Swiss Army knife, right? And so Chuck brought up Teddy Bridgewater, and the Saints knew that they could not afford Teddy after Teddy had done such a great job last season, leading the Saints to an undefeated record as a starter, filling in for Drew Brees last year, okay? Teddy and Taysom's contracts both come up this past offseason. The Saints choose to afford the contract of Taysom Hill and was able to justify it to the fan base in two ways. One, they believe that he could be the quarterback of the future, and he had more value as he was a utility player, that you can move him around. When Taysom Hill went to negotiate his contract, however, he negotiated that contract as a quarterback and is being paid a very good salary. He's making more than Jameis Winston right now. Jameis Winston led the league in passing yards and in touchdowns last year. Yeah, he led the league in interceptions as well. But when you look at what Taysom Hill had done at the quarterback position and what Jameis Winston had done at the quarterback position, even just last year, you look at, Jameis, and you're like, the Saints got him on a league minimum. He's underpaid, right? And so if you're managing the locker room, and I want you guys to think from a corporate standpoint now, if you're managing the locker room and the guys in that locker room were cool with Teddy Bridgewater and you let him walk, and then Drew gets hurt again this year, and now you have to make a decision. How do you think those NFL veterans would look at the Saints front office and Sean Payton if they put Jameis Winston in as a starting quarterback at that point? They wouldn't feel good about that, because while they can appreciate the perspective of thinking that he's the better player, well, why did we give Taysom this money and he's the backup quarterback, but he's not really a legitimate backup quarterback? And if y'all don't think that stuff matters, then you're not around professional sports much, because those are conversations that are, while people don't get into conversations about other people's pockets, those perspectives are looked at when you're a professional, right? And so Sean Payton had no choice. He had no choice but to put this guy in. And what did he go, Nick? He went 3-1. Is that his record?
Record 3-1.
Okay. All right. He went 3-1. We should have gone 4-0, but he went 3-1. John said that the experiment is up next week. I'm going to let you kind of throw that in, Ms. Nick, and also give me your feedback on that scenario as somebody who is managing a corporate, multiple corporate brands. What do you think about that situation with Sean Payton and having to make the decision to justify the contract that you gave the Taysom?
What I think is happening right now is we're seeing a show of Sean Payton's pride. He doesn't want to admit that he's wrong about Taysom. He wants, because people have been questioning that, similar to the Belichick situation where people are questioning who his pick should be at quarterback. So I think that he's just really just trying to make this Taysom thing work. But my thing is based on the schedule that we have, the opponents that we faced, there's no way you should be 75% in your winnings against all the teams that we saw over the last 4 weeks. But that's where we are. That's where we end up. That's the most we can ask for. But he has to go. Like I'm really just okay. Let's just put him back at tight end and just get him back where he shines. And I'm sick of the heart attacks. I'm tired of being in here screaming, heart palpitating, and it's just too much. Like not seeing all of the open receivers and watching him hold on to the ball. Like that is the work.
Ms. Nick, your microphone is not working. So let's see.
You not hear me?
Nope, can't hear you yet.
Can you hear me now? The whole thing is frozen. What just happened?
Myself right now. Man. So that means I get to tell y'all what it is. Let me bring in John's comments as he wanted to react to the situation with Taysom Hill and kind of talk about it. And we also have another listener, another watcher now on YouTube. Welcome, Britt, to our Sports Talk Nola YouTube page. Like the show, everybody. Share the show. Do all that stuff. Show us love. So let's see if we can get Ms. Nick back. But let me read some of these things here, right? John says your exact contracts matter. Jameis' contract must be loaded with playing incentives. That's why Peyton is not playing him. That's also a very good point. Absolutely correct. Chuck likes that comment that I basically just gave you guys. Let me bring Nick in and see if she's ready now. If she's ready to get back in. Britt says facts. So he agrees that this whole situation with Sean Payton, money and contractual obligations matter. They matter. And I think, hey, Nick, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you back. We got you. Good job.
Taysom he's also a Zoom administrator, and because he does like all the jobs. So what he did was he just went and hit my switch as soon as I said
Don't do it.
That's he does. He's tight end. He plays wide receiver. Sometimes he try to be a quarterback, and then on when he's off the field, then he's a Zoom administrator. He shuts us
You
down.
have two quarterbacks that were first round picks. Back to back, the Saints were able to get them via free agency, bring them in. Teddy Bridgewater was a first round pick to the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
Jameis Winston, was a first round pick, first overall pick to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Yeah. Both of those guys, relative to Taysom Hill's contract, were underpaid when they were here. All right? Mm-hmm. Players watching this situation, Gifted, Ms. Neek, as somebody who manages brands, you bring somebody in, they better start under or we even Steven. You can't, and if you bring them in and they're getting less money and you got somebody that's been there that you high on, but you're paying them more money and you want me to do their job, right? You want me to do their job. That's why Jameis is smiling on the sideline. Not that he wants to lose. And I'm not saying that he's saying, look, this got to happen this way. Contractually, the Saints front office made a decision to give this guy this money and also come out on a limb and say, I believe he's the heir apparent. To what? To tight end? To H-back? Because he damn sure ain't the heir apparent to Drew Brees. Sean Payton should be, but I get it. Sean Payton was trying to talk him up, and bring his value up just in case somebody decided to come in and offer him a deal. The Saints had tendered him with a first round. Had someone came and offered a deal the Saints were not willing to match, the Saints would have had draft compensation for Taysom Hill signing with that team, right? Yeah. So I get it. But I think we've all seen enough, and we're ready to get back to Drew Brees. And if it's too early, and that's my thing, I don't have a problem with Drew Brees making sure that he's really healthy because come playoff time, we're going to need number 9 to get it done, okay?
Right.
I'm okay with Jameis starting next week and letting Hill go to the utility spot and letting him play that role. I'm okay with that. I think the team is stronger.
I'm good with that too for a multitude of reasons. One, the teams they have dialed our number. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly how to stop them. They get to them way too quick. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a team that we got 3 sacks, 4 sacks on them today. Was it 5 quarterback hits?
Yeah.
5 sacks, right. 12 hits. Like they shouldn't be getting to him that much. They've already read him down. They know how long he holds on to the ball. They know that they can, once they push him out of the pocket, all he's going to do is run. Right. He doesn't have the poise to plant his feet and get the ball off. And if he does, it's going to be inaccurate and it's going to be a pick.
Right.
So, it's time. The teams have dialed his number. They understand exactly where he is. I've seen enough. Like, okay, like this is good. Okay, great. Now the thing with Jameis Winston too is Jameis Winston ain't confident. He gets on that field and he throw interceptions. He hold on to the ball too long too. And we have an elite offensive line. There is no reason for that. But they hold on to the ball and our receivers get open. You can't tell me you didn't see Thomas open like 4 times today. Like I know I did.
He was.
And we did not hit him. So it's I don't personally think that Jameis Winston is just gonna come in and miraculously pull us in and have this amazing game. But at this point, I would much rather go with him than what we see for Taysom.
I think Jameis is capable. I think that we've seen a lot of Jameis. He played obviously in our division. Nobody gonna be Drew Brees. I think Saints fans, as we all know, we're spoiled. We're spoiled with Drew Brees, and rightfully so. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. And I'm happy to say that because I got family members of mine who, whenever they get an opportunity to take a shot at number 9, they do. And I keep telling them, look, moving on from number 9 ain't gonna be as easy as you think. You know what I'm saying? That relates to replacing him. Be happy you got number 9. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's a lot of teams that wish they had a number 9.
Speaking of which, I want to think, we have listeners commenting on the honesty and integrity of our show. I appreciate that. I've been an avid fan of talk radio, of sports talk in this city for a long time. And, the Saints have a nice situation over there on WWL. They do. And then they're going to have a lot of conversation that kind of brings you to points that are not, at times, in my opinion, the most well thought out points. I'm going to say it that way, right? What we try to do over here is we love our Saints. We're not going to ever make an apology for loving our team. We love the Saints. We're going to always bring our authentic takes, and they're going to be balanced. The Saints are still a 10-win team. They had won 9 in a row. That's a lot of winning. That's a lot of winning. And, you lose Drew Brees, Taysom steps in. I know people like, damn, if I'm Taysom, like, man, I don't have a really good game and y'all killing me. He's got to understand the high expectations of the team right now. We understand how significant that loss was to an NFC opponent who's not a very good team. You still got Minnesota on your schedule, who's going to play you tough. You got Kansas City next week. It just doesn't get any easier. And so, you want to win that one, because if you win that one, you're like, okay, if you drop Kansas City, and I'm not expecting the Saints to roll over when they play them. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have a shot. The Saints are going to be a very good team, for the rest of the year. That number 1 seed, though, Ms. Neat, we talked about it last week. It's this year with COVID and what could happen with players. It's always going to be an advantage to have 2 weeks to make sure that your players are healthy for the first playoff game. It's a big deal this year.
It is a big deal. I'm just hopeful that Green Bay drops another one, and then we can, maybe get the edge on them again. The Steelers just lost to Washington, so anything can happen. Let me bring in some of Chuck's comments. He says, I've been in love with seeing the ball going deep down the field. I hope we'll be able to see that when Drew comes back. And he disagrees with my comment on Winston. He says Winston has a fast release. Winston did have a fast release when he led the league in interceptions. And he was behind a trash O-line. When we saw Winston hit the field this season behind an elite O-line, he still held on to that ball. Now, whether it was out of apprehension or whether it was just him trying to get his rhythm and understand where his receivers were, whatever the case may be, he was holding on to the ball much longer than he did the previous season when he threw all those interceptions. So while he does have a fast release, he has not been employing it this year. I haven't seen it when he hits the field. Now, if you can point me in the direction of something, I'll be more than happy to take that in. And
very, very, very astute, very good comment. I will say this: Jameis' release is faster than Taysom, and I wanted to actually speak about Taysom Hill's biggest flaw. I don't think it's aptitude or intelligence. I think it's his release point. When I look at the way that he winds up to throw the football, it's not a release that lends itself to a quick releasing of the football, obviously, right? And that's a problem in the Saints offense. That's a West Coast offense that's built on timing. It's built on timing. Boom, 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 boom. You're setting your feet, you're looking through your progressions, and you're getting that ball off. Right. Deep, middle, low. That's how it rolls with the West Coast offense. And Taysom is struggling. He's struggling with that. And so I think it's obviously he's thinking a lot as he's having to kind of get used to being the starter and playing quarterback and having that load on him. And I'll say this in defense of Jameis. I think Jameis needed, just like Teddy, a preseason or some time. There's nothing like game time with an NFL team. You need to have a chemistry with some guys. And I think that, Taysom being around the guys a little bit more also allowed Sean's decision, because remember, it was revealed to us that Sean Payton agonized over this decision. He didn't really know which way he wanted to go. And I think Sean in his heart knows. I think he knows, because I think that what he saw from Taysom this season before Drew went down, I think about it, Taysom wasn't as electric when given opportunities he had in the past, right? And so I think Sean was looking at the situation like, okay, not that Taysom's not a good player, he's still a good player, just maybe we may have seen a little bit more than what is there. And I got this kid that comes from the tutelage of a Jimbo Fisher, who coaches the West Coast offense at Florida State. He's not a coach or at Texas A&M. Jameis Winston won a Heisman Trophy and a national title at Florida State. So he has the aptitude to get it once he gets comfortable, right? You're thinking that if he can get comfortable, he's got a live and strong arm. If you can teach him to be more confident with decision making, maybe he'd do the right thing, And so Sean wanted to go the other way, I really believe, but the contract said, no, you can't. I think he knew that, you can't get this guy all this money and say he's this guy and then hide behind a guy who you gave the league minimum to and let him do his job. We got to see what he's working with. That's the only way you can keep credibility with the rest of the locker room. Can't keep it no other way.
That and we gotta talk about this money soon. Eventually, we have to talk about this money. So, where do we see the value in you? Do we see the value in you on the field as a utility player? Are you best as a gadget, or are you really my QB? Because if you're not my QB, then we're gonna have to talk about this money, partner. You're not doing what you said you was gonna do.
Said his IQ is weak. Wide open Thomas.
Right.
Wide open Sanders.
Right.
Wide open Cook. For no reason, it's Taysom's IQ. I was trying to be nice. Britt said, yes,
I said it.
Has to know. Go ahead.
No, I said it. I don't even watch film from a coach's eye. That film where you're able to see I don't even watch film. But I was like, yo, he's right there. What are you doing? Like he is, I don't know why he is holding on to the ball. I don't know why he's overthinking it. With Winston, I give him something because I'm pretty sure that man is traumatized from the way they talked about him in his 30 plus interceptions last season. So I'm giving him some anxiety. I'm giving him a pass. But Taysom doesn't have any reason. Like, I really just don't understand it. He doesn't protect the ball the way that he needs to. I'm tired of seeing him cough up the ball. I'm just over that. You're either throwing an interception or you're fumbling. And you're usually fumbling, which is even worse because it's in your hand. It's in your hand, bro. Like, just tuck it and get on the ground. What are you doing? It's too much. It's too much. I'm over it. I'm just ready.
I think a combination of both of what Britt is saying and what John is saying, and what I think everybody's kind of echoing the same sentiments tonight. Ultimately, he's not processing the information fast enough.
No.
And that's a problem in an offense like Sean Payton's offense. Chuck did us a very good favor. Green Bay's schedule, the remaining schedule, you need Teddy Bridgewater to do us a favor. They got the Carolina Panthers. The Tennessee Titans are legit. And the Bears play when they feel like it. Yeah. So is it easy? No. But, could they run the table? Yes, they could run the table. The Saints open the door for them to run the table. What's the remaining? Oh, here's our schedule. I didn't even have to look. Kansas City.
Yep.
Minnesota.
Yep. Panthers.
Carolina.
Yep.
Could we run the table?
We could.
Yeah. Drew Brees need to come back. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Whole miracle next week. But I mean, stranger things have happened. So, you can't say they didn't took a loss. The Chiefs took a spill this year, so it could easily happen again.
And it can be had. I think people are catching up to what Patrick Mahomes is doing. I know I sound a little bit crazy talking like that because he's still playing at an MVP level, and he's a phenomenal player. And I enjoy watching the Chiefs play. I do. I enjoy watching them play. I think next week's game is going to be fun.
I don't know about fun.
I do. I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Saints are going to play very well against them. I think we're going to match up well against them
It'll
next.
definitely be a good game. It'll be a good game, but I don't know if it's gonna be fun watching us fight for the win. That is always a heart attack waiting to happen with the Saints.
John says that he doesn't think the number one seed will be as valuable this year because of the bubble that the playoffs more than likely will be in. What's your thoughts on that, Ms. Neat?
I mean, I'm sure the bubble will help, but every team, especially with Drew sustaining the injuries that he sustained, him getting an extra week is crucial for us. Him just not having to worry about trying to come back in and get another win, especially during the playoffs, is crucial for us. I need if Drew hadn't sustained the injuries that he had, then yeah, I would be like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But we need an extra week for him. I don't want him to come back next week personally, but we need him to come back next week. So if we're going to push him in earlier, then we should at least be trying to fight to get him a break before we go into the playoff season. And it just puts us in a better position, hands down. And to your point, we've been going hard body all season. There have been no lax games. There was no ramp up. There was no ease into the season. We just been going hard body since game one. So he needs that rest. I mean, the rest of the team does as well. Of course, we got Thomas and had his injury this year. Kamara's been on limited practice all season, off and on. Sanders had his little situation. Like, they all need rest. But for the massive amount of injuries that Drew sustained with 11 fractured ribs and a punctured lung just a few weeks ago, that man needs to rest. So we need that bye.
Alvin Kamara, other players are banged up. I think it'll be good. And look, as we saw last year, and I was in the dome when it happened, when the push off from the Vikings player happened last year, winning in the playoffs is hard. Yeah. It wouldn't shock me if a number 2 seed loses in round 1. That wouldn't be shocking to me, right? So I would rather winning 2 conference games for the right to play in the title game than to have this really incredible season, play as hard as the Saints have played, and then get no reward for it as it relates to a bye. I think that is tremendously significant, and I don't like it. And this is the 1 year. I think John does bring up a very interesting point. At least with the number 2 seed, and this is why I do agree with him from a different angle. It's meaningless this year, because ultimately, if you have the number 2 seed, there is no home field advantage. The only advantage this year is the bye. Yeah. Not playing. That's the only thing you get for having a really good year this year. There will be no home field advantage. And so, at least that's what we're thinking. Now, if they give them home field advantage, then I think that'll change. And I think that the NFL, watch this. You guys may have stumbled upon a very interesting topic. Do you have to give home field advantage this year because of the conversation that we're having now? What's the reward for having the second best record in the league, or in your conference, this season? When traditionally, think about it. And the NFL makes these changes and they think they're great ideas sometimes. And you think about all of the history before this season, right? Number 2 seeds who have had to bye, number 1 seed goes down on the same weekend, and then that number 2 seed gets to host the title game, right?
Right.
Why did they make this change? I know they added another. I got it. They added another team to the playoffs. It was more money. That's why they made the change. Oh, yeah. So screw the number 2 seed.
And I mean, realistically, home field advantage is big for us because we're a stadium team. Mm-hmm. So we're used to playing indoors, and it would be more of a beneficial situation for us to be inside of a stadium. So, I mean, you just got to really think about all of the attributes of winning that first place bye, especially this year, because of COVID and because we could be potentially hit with something like, Lord forbid, somebody gets hit with COVID next week.
Right. That's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks they out. You know what I'm saying? Like we really gotta think about all of the different elements that we don't normally think about during football season that could potentially hurt us. So again, having that, but again, if we do have the bubble, if we do get the number 2 seed and we go into the bubble, there's less travel because we're in a bubble. We're not moving. So right. There's more rest. There's more time for recuperation. You get to your PT faster. You know, you get over to your physical therapy and you start recuperating immediately, as opposed to having to get on the plane, fly home, move around the city. You leave, you don't have to leave early. You know, it's not a lot of wear and tear on the body from that aspect. But still, that number one seed, that bye, is worth it. And no matter how you look at it, it's just really worth it.
And see, I was with everybody. And I can't wait to go back and read the comments in a moment. I was with everyone with the bubble. I don't know if the NFL can do the bubble now. I don't know if they can do it. Listen, the Rams came on the road a few years ago and got a victory in our dome in the NFC title game. Mm-hmm. It was the other team that had the bye. They were the number 2 seed that year. So both seeds had a bye. All they had to win was one game to get to the NFC title game, just as we did. All right? And they came in, and, you know, the history is the history. I won't even get into that, right? This year, what's your reward for having such a good season? What is your reward? And that's a part of the advantage of playing an NFL season where you're going on the road to the Eagles, for instance, right? And you're not playing at home in New Orleans. The NBA had done the bubble when they re-upped and they kind of decided to redo their season. They started a regular season, then moved into the playoffs. There was some seeding that still had to be figured out, etc. How do you tell a team the Saints could potentially go, let's say they go 12-4. They go 12-4, and they have the second best record. You don't get a bye, nor do you get home field. You don't get either one. And you have to play as if you are a wild card team, basically, is what you have to do. And you got to play in a bubble. I don't like it. And this is the first time I thought about it that in depth. I don't like it. If you're not going to have the Saints play that game at home, not that it matters, there's only 700 or so fans in the dome right now, right? But if you're not going to at least give us that and say, hey, we couldn't do nothing about COVID, but y'all at least get to have the people come to y'all stadium. It's in New Orleans. They got to come to you, right? Don't put me in no bubble and I didn't play this well off. What's the difference between me and Tampa Bay? Who cares who wins the division? Well, what's the point?
Right.
There's no difference.
I mean, but we lose the value of all of that just with the season that we're playing. You know what I'm saying? Like we just lose it, and there's really no way to really get around it at this point. So that's why fighting for that number one spot is important, because that's the only advantage this year.
The NFL has not announced that they're going to be in the bubble. They haven't said that that's happening yet, and I think the reason why they haven't said it is because if I'm Sean Payton, or think about what's going on in the AFC real quick, where you have a one-loss KC and a one-loss Pittsburgh team. So they could potentially go 14-2 and play week 1. And the other team would be off. And it even, I don't know if they played each other this year. I don't think they have played each other. They haven't played each other.
No,
okay. Right. They haven't played each other. Like what? So, hey, look, you damn right. They're going to come outside in the cold and play in Pittsburgh. Whoever we play in week 1, if I got to play week 1, you know, and we're going to have the comfort of being at my house if that's what I choose. And I understand all the other things with COVID. People have not thought about that angle of it. And we kind of accidentally bumped into it a few moments ago. Now the Saints don't have the number 1 seed anymore, right? And they could potentially have a number 2 seed, and that's not even secure because the Rams are having a very good year, right? They're right there.
Yep.
Seattle's still relevant. They're right there. You know, so it's not like that's decided just yet. They even have the number 2. But, you know, what are some of the comments as we're discussing this particular topic?
So we have, let's see. Oh, we got a lot going on in here. Been going in. Hold on, let me scroll up, y'all. Y'all didn't give me no time. All right. So John Rush said that I'm good, y'all. Taysom is not our real QB, and we still could have won that game. Breeze will lead this team. He also goes on to say Taysom is fool's gold. I believe this year's playoff will be in a bubble environment, which caused the conversation that we're having. So coming back down, it says Saints defense will have to play real ball against the Chiefs. Yeah, because what we saw today is not gonna work. It's just not. And I don't know what happened. What's bothering me about us is the inconsistency. It's across the board. So at some point, with the exception of the clinic we ran on somebody's favorite quarterback,
I saw that.
I mean, I'm just saying, we did. Is it not a fact that we ran a clinic on one of the goats this season?
On the goat, yeah.
On one of the goats. Okay.
But go ahead.
Okay, so, but outside of that, there's a lot of inconsistencies in us. We'll have a game where we're just really stellar on defense, and then the next game we got 9 penalties for 100+ yards. Like it's ridiculous, but we cannot stay consistent. The same thing with Taysom. One game he's outstanding, he looks really promising. There's glimmers of greatness, and then the next game he coughs up the ball 3 times and holds on to it for too long, and we end up where we are. So we just really got to get some consistency going with the run game and our defense. So bringing in some more, what's key, Chuck says, is Sean has to establish a better run game with better scheming. And then John Rush chimes in and says, 2 conference games to low seeds. Sean Payton is playing chess, y'all. So do you want me to just keep reading, or are we going to chime in on their opinions here?
Let's chime in on what you got. What you think about some of the, first of all, I'll say this if you don't mind. I love the interaction in the chat group right now. I think that we have a lot of very smart comments right now. And y'all, look, we're not having this panic thing. We're not going to have a panic attack. But I think we're all bringing up really, really, really good comments, because what do we want? We want what the Saints was able to accomplish in 2010 and winning the title. That 09 season was phenomenal. And we'd like to see Drew Brees hold that thing up one more time and ride off into the sunset and kind of see where the Saints era post Drew Brees will take us, right? So we're nitpicking. Don't if you're tuning in the States and you're like, damn, I'm a fan of the Jets, we can trade places with y'all any day. I get it. If you're a Denver fan, Denver did beat Carolina today, by the way. But if you're a Denver fan, you trade places with the Saints right now. If you're a Bengals fan, etc. So you like the place that we're in. When we assess the current Saints situation, we're assessing it towards winning a title and understanding that the type of teams and the caliber of football that they will need to play to win that game, to win a Super Bowl, they must play at a high level. And week in, week out, you have to do that. And a loss to a team like the Eagles in the way that they lost this game, and think about that second half, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about the game. I know you want to talk about their points, and we'll get there. In the second half, the Saints charged back in the game. Defense seemed motivated. Saints offense made some plays. They jumped right back in the game. And so it kind of, seemed like they were looking ahead to next week, kind of thought that they would roll in and just beat this team because of how good they are. And, that's a former Super Bowl winning coach on the other side. Like, that guy out-coached Bill Belichick on the other side. He did that with a backup quarterback. Yep. So the Saints took them lightly. They go in and they drop that game, and right now it's costing them that number 1 seed. So, yeah, we're not in a good mood.
I mean, do you expect us to be? I mean, even if it was a hard-fought game and we looked good and all that and we lost, of course we were going to be mad. Anybody going to feel good about losing? It's not what we do out here. We from New Orleans, baby. We don't do all that. That's too much. That's too much. So let's see. We got John Rush coming in saying, I personally think that the Saints play better on the road. That's a good perspective. Let's see. Where are we? I just lost it. I personally think the Saints play better on the road if we have to go on the road. And then he also agreed with you in regards to the playoffs and says, true, there's no reward. Chuck comes in and says, I think you get a little more money if you win a division, first seed, etc. So, yeah, there is some money. I'm sure there's money involved in winning the division. Like, yeah, there's absolutely money involved. Correct. So that is the incentive, but that ain't got nothing to do with us as fans.
Right.
We don't care about y'all money. We ain't getting rid of it anyway. Right. So, but yeah, that's the end of our comments right now. So, okay, how much time we got left?
We got about a good 10 minutes. Let me just run through my little quick, We
ain't went around the NFL yet.
That's what I'm saying. I'm about to run through that right now for y'all. I got y'all. The Washington football team, 23. The San Francisco 49ers, 15. Speaking of the Washington football team, who lost their name, had to give it up because they finally understood what them people was talking about. It's disrespectful to them, so drop the name. This is breaking news. Like, literally maybe 5 minutes ago. Sources confirm, I know this is a Saints show, Just want to let y'all in on this information. Sources confirm the New York Times report that the Cleveland Indians will be dropping their nickname. So they will no longer be the Indians. They've been called that for more than a century. In nearly 17,000 games, they will no longer be called the Indians. So, we just want to get all the news. We have more provocative shows where we can get into those discussions, but that's instant. That just happened as I'm reading the NFL updates. Green Bay 31, Detroit 24, Saints fall to Philly 24-21. Atlanta had a lead and lost again. Los Angeles Chargers 20, Atlanta Falcons 17. Seattle get the best of the Jets.
Anything else from Atlanta? Did you expect anything else from Atlanta?
Nah.
No, I'm serious. Did anything?
Nah.
No. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Every chance I get, I'm gonna go off about Atlanta.
Look, you know what they say. If you mess with somebody with cooties rub off on you. And I feel like for our Saints in the playoffs, we've had some really phenomenal losses the last few years. And I would prefer us as a fan base to let them people lose by themselves. They have a lot of heartbreak and misery. Let them people suffer by themselves.
This is a sports show. This is a sports show. I can talk about somebody losing a sports game.
Yes, you can. You can. I'm just making a public service announcement.
They lost again.
They did. I just don't look. Atlanta
lost.
That's all I want to say. I ain't going no further than that.
That's exactly what they did.
Indianapolis Colts 44, Las Vegas Raiders 27. In a very good game, Tampa Bay defeats the Minnesota Vikings 26-14 as the Saints had a chance to wrap the division up. And we'll wait, a week or two, and we'll eventually. They ain't coming back to take the division. We ain't got to worry about that. Denver defeat Carolina 32-27. The Chicago Bears playing impressive football defeat the Houston Texans 36-7. Arizona 26, Giants 7. 31-10 Tennessee over Jacksonville. The Cowboys look like a decent football team. Now, they didn't play a really good team, but they won 30-7 over the Bengals. We spoke about Kansas City, who wrapped up their division and also continue their winning ways, 33-27 over the Dolphins. The Rams took down the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. And right now in the second quarter, a very good game between really good teams. The 9-3 Bills, they're hosting the now, what was it? They're 9-1, I believe they are. 11-1, excuse me. 11-1 Steelers. Right now it's 0-0 in the second quarter. So, once we're done, I don't know if y'all watching that and got us turned up, which we appreciate that love, by the way. But a very, very good game taking place right now on Sunday Night Football. Gifted, let me ask you one more question. What you gonna get your beignets to? It's hard. It's hard to give out beignets today. Can anybody get beignets today?
Man, they need carrots. These are carrots and celery with no ranch. Nah. Today I want to give my beignets to Kawan Alexander for forcing the fumble towards the end of the game, which led to the touchdown, which almost put us in position to win the game. Now, if Lutz had done his job, which you didn't go off about Lutz too much today. I'm not,
I know he's sad. I'm already off him. I just wanted you to know he was sad. I
appreciate you calling me out. That's why I took the rabbit approach, the 8 Mile approach. I had to get it out before you got me. So that's cool. I appreciate you giving me that. But yeah, my beignets go to Kawan Alexander today. That was a beautiful play. Way to attack the ball, get it on the ground, and then we get that back. And and shout out to Taysom Hill. He can get some of the little powdered sugar that falls off the side of the salsa. He can lick that up a little bit.
I got to say something about Kawhi Alexander.
What?
There was a particular play. He gave up an 80-yard plus run, basically.
He did, but
But I'm with you. No, it's hard. It's hard. I'm with you. I just wanted to address it because we saw it. The guy brought it up.
Yes, that was very bad coverage. However, he came back.
He did.
And he made a play that put us in a position to almost win the game.
Like the win there, you had to find somebody. That was a very creative way to do it.
I got to do something.
Right, I agree. He was supposed to hit the C gap and he playing around and try to stunt and hit the B gap and was out of position, right? Yep. And so it is what it is. But just like you were creative, I'm going to be creative and give a guy who I think has played really good all year long, and we've given him beignets all year long, Alvin Kamara. I'm going to go ahead on and throw him, some beignets. You took the defense today. I'm going to take the offense. I'm going to give Alvin Kamara the beignets on the offensive side of the ball. He did get in the end zone. He is effective. It just Taysom Hill know how to get right with the man. He don't know how to use him.
Are they beefing? Because I don't understand why he's not feeding Kamara the way that Kamara is usually fed on the field. It's not like he can't play wide receiver. So even if you feel more comfortable passing, because he gets the ball to Thomas, so why is he not passing to Kamara? Kamara gets open. What's happening? What's your take?
I don't know. I think Taysom is a unique talent, and I think because of that, at times, with him having a lot to deal with, one of our listeners said he has a IQ issue. I think that Sean Payton is drawing up opportunities for Alvin Kamara, especially in the run game where you have those zone read concepts, and maybe Taysom is keeping the ball. And teams are catching up to what the Saints are trying to do with Taysom, and it's making it harder for Alvin Kamara to do what Alvin Kamara does. He still got in the end zone today. So hey, let me ask you this question as we get close to closing before we get out of here. Of course, we'll get into our picks for next week. Does Drew Brees play next week?
Does he play or do I want him to play? That's two
different. Does he play?
I think he plays.
Okay.
I think he plays next week. I don't want him to play next week, but I think he plays. I don't think that Sean Payton is going to risk us dropping another game next week. So I think they put him in, but I hope they don't.
Okay. Here's what I think you do if you're the Saints. I think you play Jameis Winston next week. Okay. And I think you really be patient with Drew Brees and you bring him back against Carolina. And you let him play a half of football against Carolina. And wherever we stand with our record is where we stand. And you deal with what you deal with. And you hopefully have a very ready and capable Drew Brees in the playoffs whose arm should be refreshed at least, right? Mm-hmm. That's the one benefit to him not throwing as many passes as he would have thrown thus far, is that arm has had an opportunity to rest. And we go in with Drew Brees and we rally and say, let's go get it done for number 9. Ideally, the stress of the number 1 seed, you want it. I get it. But I'll tell y'all this. Taysom Hill nor Jameis Winston can win a Super Bowl with the Saints this season. No. We only have one quarterback that can do that. And he's not healthy right now. So I do not risk him to prove a point next week. I play Jameis Winston, and I allow whatever to happen. And you secure your division, and you get ready to go after a title in the playoffs.
I agree, but I don't see Drew sitting down after this game.
That's why Sean Payton and those guys got to go talk to him.
Yeah, Drew is he's very determined. He had 11 fractured ribs and a punctured lung and still went and led a scoring drive right after. That's who he is. And, he sees us drop a game to a 3-8-1 team, you know what I'm saying, and unnecessarily. And I just don't see him, knowing that this could potentially be his last season, be okay with us sending somebody out that may drop yet another game. I think he fights to come back.
I wouldn't expect nothing less from him.
Yeah.
I tell him, if it's me, Drew, we need you. And we need you when it really is going to count. And think about it. We've had the number 1 seed. I understand the importance this year. We've been a number 2 seed. We've had different seeds, right? And it hasn't mattered. What we need is a certain level of execution in the playoffs, right? And I think the quarterback that will execute the best for us, and you allow Taysom to go back and be that Swiss Army knife, and you can still use him in certain roles and in certain capacities, is Drew Brees. And then it'll be nice to see Jameis Winston play with a week knowing that he's a starter and what could he do with the first unit with a game plan centered around his strengths, things that he likes. So I'd like to see it. What's your pick? I'm going to give you a pick both ways since we do this show once a week. If Drew Brees plays, give me your pick. And if Drew Brees doesn't play, give me a pick. If it's the same, it's the same. If not,
yeah, I personally feel like it's the same. I think we're dropping next week. I don't see us pulling out next week. I just don't. I think if Drew does play, Drew plays limited. Drew plays scared. And I think if he doesn't play, Jameis Winston plays scared. Or Taysom plays scared. The thing is that you really got to look at the stats. I had 4 games. I won 3. I lost 1. Sorry, you're gonna take me out now? Like, is that what we do? As soon as they drop a game, we pull them out. Like, is that how we rocking? Is that what our coaching staff is gonna do? I don't see consistency in that. I don't see, Sean Payton is more or less, I stick with my decisions and we're just gonna make it rock. So I think we drop next week. I'm not anticipating pulling out next week.
Okay. If Taysom Hill is the quarterback, the starting quarterback next week, the Saints lose. That's my first statement. If another quarterback outside of Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback, the Saints will win next week. So that's my take. I have the Saints winning if it's Jameis Winston or Drew Brees. They don't stand a chance in hell if Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback next week.
Okay. Well, we're going to see. I sure hope you're right about everything. Because I don't see it. I think next week is we just have to be okay with losing next week and just know we got to finish strong the last 2 games of the season and then go into the playoffs and just knock that shit out. We just gonna have to, because I don't think Drew should play next week.
Y'all excuse Miss Nikki for dropping the S word.
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know y'all can say that on ABC though. So the FCC shouldn't come to us for that. No, I'm playing. I apologize. But I don't see it. I don't foresee it. I hope for it. I'm a Saints fan. I'm a who that, black and gold to the meat show, but I don't know. It's not
next game. It's not a late start, right?
Yeah. You're gonna be sleepy. Look, Jay gonna go to sleep on y'all again. Y'all know
ain't that late.
He be going to bed. I had to wake him up for this one.
That's how you lying to these folks. That ain't godly. That ain't go on a Sunday. You acting like that. Y'all better got on a Saints outfit. You
gotta bring the Lord into that. Don't leave God. He
lying and stuff.
Got a pandemic to deal with. Don't do that. Don't bring.
Don't blame me because you lying.
Don't bring God in here for me. That's just cool. That's not cool.
Look, I see his face looking right at you on your wall.
Man, stop playing with me. Don't bring the Lord into this now. All right, because he gonna start talking about other stuff that he gotta address. Well, since I'm here, don't do me that. Let's get out. Yeah, let's get up out of here, guys. Yo, we thank y'all so much for tuning into the 5th quarter. Y'all know exactly where y'all can find us. We are right here on YouTube, Sports Talk NOLA. If you're over on Spreaker, you can find us under the same name. Matter of fact, just go over to Facebook. We're at www.facebook.com/Sports Talk NOLA. And we also have Love Sports Hip Hop there too. That is www.facebook.com/Love Sports Hip Hop. We are dropping links everywhere. So it don't matter where you consume your media, you can find us. I'm your girl, Miss Neek. That's your boy, J. Arlene's. This is the 5th quarter, and we thank y'all so much. We love y'all, and we out.
We out.